you, Rob. Great to be here.
The question of streaming is something, and we've mentioned simplicity through a couple of the earlier conversations that we've had, that it's really important to make it easy for people to watch. How easy is it to produce something which looks so simple when we watch it on our screens, but requires a huge amount of technology and insight and experience to go into it behind the scenes?
Well, like the man said long ago, I wouldn't be starting here now, would I? I would have to go back one step in order to address that question, Rob. As referred to earlier, streaming has been going on for many years, and over the years we've streamed sport for TG Ceathair, who are really ahead of everyone. For GA Go, it's not new; it's been going on for years. And what we were doing really in those days was taking TV production values at enormous cost and just streaming it out, which quickly became undone last year when COVID struck, because that kind of money just was not available. Nobody had those kind of resources to put into streaming sport. So at that time, when we were looking at what we could do, Croke Park and the GA is an organisation we work very closely with, and the problem became apparent very quickly. No fans allowed into matches and no access to games. So what could we do on a very cost-effective basis to be able to stream games from counties all over the country and to allow viewers to get access in that way? So we had to strip away everything we knew and forget that we were ever television producers and start looking at this from afresh. How could we cut down on the equipment and the bodies needed in order to stream matches in a very high quality professional way, but maintaining a very low level of cost effectiveness also? So what we essentially did is we forgot everything we knew and we started from the ground up. One camera, one operator, one streaming uplink on location. And that is as stripped down as you can go. So how do you get your production done then? We started looking at cloud production, and we started working in the cloud completely. And the solution we came up with was that we work with one person on location, we send the stream into the cloud, we have a row of operators back at base in Nemeton HQ, putting on the graphics, doing the replays, doing all that work in the cloud, and then streaming it forward to its destination. And that has been a huge success. And you can talk all day about production values and extra cameras and all that kind of thing. And we advised nearly everybody we worked with at the time, better to have one experienced TV trained camera operator covering your game than 2 or 3 cameras who are not as skilled, and that you'll get a much better view of the game in that way. And that's the model that many counties we went with. That's the model that they worked with, and the model that we're still working with, and new counties and new organisations coming on board. Mark Scanlon mentioned earlier that we're working now with the FAI and the League of Ireland, and many others that we're talking to as well. So that has been the biggest change in how to produce and deliver games on a mass scale to streaming audiences.
We are divils for wanting everything to be perfect, but not being willing to necessarily pay for it. What's the reaction been like from fans to seeing that pared back version? Or did it happen at a good time when our expectations were lowered by virtue of knowing that everything is different when you're in the middle of a lockdown, that has allowed us to accept things that we 2 years ago might not have accepted, and we would have thought, no, I want the multiple cameras and I want this and I want that. Now that we're seeing it in a much more raw form, are we accepting it?
Well, now streaming is much more forgiving. The kind of technology, the amount of things that you can do, the production values, the graphics, the super slow-mos, the multiple angle replays, that all still stays on television. But in this word convergence that has been going on for years is eventually coming to be now, and it's no longer beyond the scope of imagination, when you will sit in front of your 60-inch TV screen in your sitting room at home with one remote control, and you will press a button and you won't know whether you're receiving your pictures over satellite, over cable, over Wi-Fi, over 5G. And it's at that point that the convergence, the loop starts to close. The loop has opened up with the separation between streaming and television. Now the loop will start to close again, because at that point, viewers will no longer be happy to watch a 6, 7, 8 camera broadcast on TG Cahir or RTE or Sky Sports, and then to watch a single camera stream with a wide lens on another button on their remote control. So that demand is going to grow, and that is going to evolve and emerge as something that's very much, I mean, even last year, some of the more progressive counties we worked with, I would name like Galway and Tyrone had 2 and sometimes 3, 4 cameras in their productions, and you know, it's a strategy that worked for them. But see, Ireland is a small country, and there are only so many viewers out there, and only so many credit cards out there, and so much willingness to pay for every game. You know, when you're already paying for Sky Sports, and you're paying your TV license, and you're paying for Netflix, and you're paying for Apple TV and all this, so some intervention is going to have to happen to bring those production values up. And the only obvious place to look is to business. You know, the commercial opportunities are extraordinary. Businesses that can reach into the core of their audience with data measurement like never before, and to be associated right into the heart of the communities. That is the intervention that will happen. And that, I am sure, is what's going to drive the development and the raising of production values as streaming becomes even more widespread. I mean, the genie is out of the bottle now. I mean, 12 months ago, streaming was happening on a kind of an ad hoc basis. But once COVID hit, streaming exploded out of that bottle, and it ain't never going back in there.
I think you're right. I mean, you mentioned the fact that TG Cahir has been, you know, very much ahead of the game in this. Like, I've been watching matches on the, you know, on the TG Cahir YouTube channel and the player for a long way before COVID. The sort of the production values in that, you as a TV industry, you brought us to the top of the mountain with high definition television. So now when we switch on the box and something isn't in HD, it just looks wrong. It looks as though it's kind of out of kilter because of those, you know, 56 and 60-inch TV screens. But you're right, that sort of that level of convergence of being able to switch and, you know, casting from your phone, done it with some, you know, live theatre productions where the quality has not been what you would want if it was coming through your screen from, you know, from Sky One or from the BBC or RTE. But I wouldn't get to see it in any other way other than through this. So I'm willing to accept that. In terms of how things are going to stay that way, do you think have we actually sort of crossed the Rubicon now, whereby, you know, you mentioned the genie's out of the bottle and we now want to be able to see everything? So I had the opportunity to, you know, to buy a GAA Go pass so that I could see everything that was going to be on for 25 euros at the start of the year. And yes, sure, maybe I'm in a privileged position, but for me, 25 euros is great. I might only get to watch 2 or 3 games on it because you'd like to be there live, and a lot of the big ones will be on, you know, television anyway. But moving in that direction of getting people into a position whereby if it's on, they're able to see it, that's hugely important, isn't it?
It is, Rob, but where I would diverge from that view is it will soon be no longer good enough. The concept of streaming as something that exploded during COVID last year, whereby you could not see it anywhere else, that was one thing. But for an audience that used to watching very high television production values, the expectation will be that you can see a close-up of Dizzy Hutchinson when he's playing for Waterford on the field, or of Joe Canning or whoever, that there will be replays of a high quality, and that there will be more camera angles. And streaming, people used to laugh at me some years ago when I said that every sports event worthy of more than a few dozen spectators will be streamed. Now it's already a reality. So those who want to go after that event, the lean forward audience, go after, seek it out and pay for it no matter what it costs. The lean back audience needs to have something to inspire them to click and pay with their credit cards. And let's say, for example, if I'm a hurling supporter in Waterford and there's a championship game on, a local derby in Antrim or in Galway or somewhere like that, and am I going to put my hand in my pocket if it's a single camera coverage, which in no way compares to the television production values that I'm used to? Probably not. But if it's high quality, high definition, good analysis, good graphics, and a few more bells and whistles thrown in, well, there's a hell of a lot more chance that I will pay for it.
That's a great delineation between lean forward and lean back. I'm a sports fan. I love going to matches where the viewing experience is live. You don't see super slow-mo when you're watching the game taking place in front of you. That's self-evident. But watching Dubs TV, I like the fact that I could be watching a match and I can send a tweet and Oisin Langham will read it out on screen. It makes the kids laugh, and there's a different experience in it. But yes, very much lean forward and lean back. And do you think, you mentioned about business coming on board, and that's our audience today and on playback will be business as well. You mentioned about there being really good opportunities for that. Do you think is business, we saw it from the statistics that we just showed there, 67% of sponsors want to have live streaming as part of it. What's the easiest way for somebody who is sitting there preparing their budget now for 2022, who wants to be involved in live streaming but doesn't quite know how to or where to go? What's going to be the easy pathway in for them?
Well, in this world where the sport and digital worlds have collided, and that intersection now, which is providing huge opportunities, there are not enough sponsorship properties out there for businesses who want to sponsor high quality sports events. So if you look at television, in order to get in there, you're going to have to muscle somebody else out. Streaming is greenfield territory at the moment, and for any business wanting to get in on the act in streaming, they really, assuming that they have their strategy worked out and who they want to reach and how they want to do that, and have all of their activations worked out and everything, there are sectoral, as in county by county. There are national, there are football, there are hurling, there are women, there are men. There are all those, and Littlewoods is a perfect example of that, with Camogie and Aldi with football for women, and all. So you have to define that down. You have to cut it down. But if you can present a commercial opportunity to a sponsor whereby you can say, I can deliver you 1,000 pairs of eyeballs consistently every Saturday evening over the next 15 weekends. Wow, that's something that not even television could measure and guarantee in the same way that streaming can.
That's exactly what Lidl will have found through creating their player to actually show out their league matches as well. It is a world of opportunity. It's great to talk to you, Irial. It's always a pleasure. Keep doing what you're doing with the innovation on TG Caho's coverage, the behind the goals cameras, the super slow-mo, the cutaways, all of it really good stuff. But also keep doing what you're doing in terms of making it possible so that we can see all of the action we want to before we manage to get back into the grounds. It has been a great pleasure. Gur míle mágat agus slán go fóill.
Slán Rob, tá fáilte rót.